Finding a service solution that helps you keep customers happy can feel impossible, just like trying to remember the name of that guy you literally just met at a networking event. HubSpot's all-new Service Hub can help, with the service solution part at least. It brings service and success together on one powerful platform, with an AI-powered help desk and chatbot to handle your frontline tickets, so you can scale support and drive retention and revenue. Visit HubSpot.com/service to learn more. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday, May 17th. I'm John Weigell here with Ben Berkley, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. This week, the biggest headline around Netflix was its 3-year deal to broadcast live NFL games on Christmas Day, and that's definitely a big deal on the TV landscape, but it's not the only highlight of Netflix's week. From a prominent bundling deal to explosive advertising growth, it was a really good week for the streaming business's most dominant player. So good, in fact, that we kind of feel bad for all the other streamers. We'll get to all that in a bit, but first let's give you the hits and headlines today in business and tech. Starting us off, Samsung is making lemonade out of the social media lemons hurled at Apple for its now infamous iPad Pro Crush ad. Samsung's Uncrushed ad plays off the same scene as Apple's, but instead shows a woman playing a guitar, using a Samsung tablet to read sheet music, and ending with the tag, quote, "Creativity cannot be crushed." So Ben, what do you think about Samsung's response to Apple?
To me, this is pitch perfect advertising. Like, absolutely on point, no notes. I think personal preference, competitive advertising, when done right, is my favorite genre of ad.
Yep.
Like Burger King taking a swipe at McDonald's, Pepsi coming at Coca-Cola. Like, that's always good stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like they tap into that primal, like, two things are competing for my attention. Which one is best feeling? So love them.
Yeah, it has a nice, quote, "take that" approach, which I really enjoy. I love when big companies fight each other instead of fight me.
Yeah, it's also, they're really direct. They're almost always really funny.
On the nose.
And I would say most importantly, they're memorable.
They are.
Like, we're so inundated all the time, and I remember so few ads because of it. But I'll remember this Samsung ad, and then I'm also going to remember this Called to Memory, which was another one where they went at Apple a couple years ago, where there was, a bunch of Apple fans camped out in line waiting 9 hours, and then you see passersby with like Galaxy phones, and it was just like really, really well done. And obviously, Apple is like really meticulous, so it's hard to find gaps where you can take a good swing at them. So good on Samsung for jumping on opportunities when they present themselves.
Exactly. Good on them. Next, the EU launched an investigation examining if Meta is in violation of its Digital Service Act, specifically how its apps do or don't protect the safety and privacy of children. Next, over to Wayfair. Wayfair is set to open its first brick-and-mortar store in the Chicago area, with CEO Niraj Shah acknowledging many customers prefer looking and feeling furniture in person before making a purchase. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but do you think that this strategy might work for Wayfair?
I mean, it could. This is just kind of part of the natural life cycle for these digitally native consumer product companies at this point. I think if you look at, everything from Warby Parker to Casper to Everlane, all of them have opened their brick and mortar stores. This one's way bigger,
yes,
like physically bigger, and has a much bigger investment. Like, the store is just massive. It's like kind of more of like an IKEA model. They even have a full coffee shop inside of it. So that just means the payoff is going to need to be bigger too.
Right.
And it puts a lot of pressure on the quality of their products holding up. I think every time I've ever ordered anything on Wayfair, I feel like it arrives, I see it and like in reality, and I touch it and I kind of go like, okay, and then I kind of rationalize, well, at least it was cheaper than the alternative. That's not the most satisfying retail experience in real life. So We'll see how that translates.
Yeah, we'll see. Are they going to get called out for their subpar furniture at times? Or on the other hand, will it be a nice medium between IKEA and West Elm as a showroom? So, I mean, there could be a market for that. Okay, moving on to airlines. United Airlines is releasing a new safety video in an attempt to make increasingly distracted passengers pay attention. It involves a complicated live-action Rube Goldberg machine. Guilty. Honestly, I never pay attention to those. And finally, McDonald's has an unexpected new McFlurry flavor called Grandma. The chain is introducing a Grandma McFlurry on May 21st for a limited time that combines vanilla ice cream and syrup with candy pieces, like the ones that are at the bottom of your grandmother's purse, like, a broken up Werther's Original. This might be charming to some, but what do you think about it, Ben?
It's fun and unique. I'll give them that. But the thing that really sticks with me is it's not really instantly gettable as a flavor, which feels really strange for McDonald's in particular, which, their menu strength historically is that it's got a lot of clarity and an ease.
Right.
And I feel like they're relying on everyone having this shared understanding of this grandma archetype. And I get what they're going for, but also it doesn't ring true to me, because if I think of what my grandma's McFlurry flavor would be, it's like a tuna sandwich. And it's really hard to get excited about that flavor, even though, personal policy is never speaking ill of a McFlurry.
Right. This may go into the same thinking that they went in the Grimace shake with, Grimace to Grandma, I'm calling it in my brain. But the Grimace, I feel like, what flavor is that? But at least it's purple.
Yeah.
For Grandma, what is that flavor? I wonder if they quizzed a bunch of people and asked them in a focus group what they think Grandma flavor would be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to the main story today. Let's get back to a huge week for Netflix. One of their biggest shows, Bridgerton, is back this weekend, and that's something every other streaming service wishes they had going on for them right about now. But that's not where the envy stops this week. So, Ben, what has Netflix been up to this week?
Honestly, not a whole lot other than crushing their opponents without mercy.
Yes, like an iPad Pro.
Honestly, exactly like that. I look forward to Samsung's take on Netflix this week. It's really hard to imagine a company out there is on a better run than Netflix right now, though. You look even 1 month back and their earnings report showed massive subscriber gains, their highest ever profits. I think that was at $9.4 billion to be specific. And that's while most of their rivals are hemorrhaging money. They just keep growing. And then this week, they just went on this run of announcements where every day it was like, oh, that's really significant.
Yeah, it seems like they've been doing quite a lot lately. And we've talked about this a lot on the podcast in the past few months about them getting deeply into live sports. And it seems like that happened even more yesterday with the NFL announcement, right?
Yeah, they're going big here. They are going to stream 2 Christmas Day games this year. They have the option to do 2 the next 2 years. They'll at least do 1 in 2025 and 2026. These cost about $75 million per game, which is probably a great investment because these are also, if you look at the TV ratings, nothing comes close to the NFL. This is also one of the games is Kansas City Chiefs. You're getting the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift show and Patrick Mahomes. They're going to sell a lot of ads on that thing. But yeah, it is their biggest bet on live sports yet. Mm-hmm. It seems really wise the way they're cracking into this market and knowing that it is, a darling of advertisers, but they're not really getting buried under all the long-term multi-billion-dollar rights deals that their rivals are kind of stuck under.
Right.
They kind of have here's a one-off golf tournament, just see how it goes. Here's a tennis match to see if our audience is into live sports and we can do it. Boxing special this summer. And, obviously they did their $5 billion deal with WWE, but that's also an entertainment product. So it's kind of hard to compare with the NBA or something.
Sure. Yeah. This foray into sports, they've definitely been dipping their toe. You said they've been doing some live events recently and they've kind of been trying their hand at it because especially with the NFL, we talked about this a while ago too, that the NFL has had numerous different streaming homes at any given time. So the ability to just get a few games is kind of a big get for these streamers. But Netflix seems to be the only one that's kind of turning that tide from streaming into becoming kind of a cable television catch-all alternative. So that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think they're really well positioned to just make so much money from this, which, let's just go on to their next announcement, which was nuts, which is that in January, so not that long ago, they had announced that they had 23 million subscribers on their cheaper ad-supported tier. That has almost doubled, which, again, January to May, that's 40 million subscribers now on that tier. So that's just a rapid rate. They're also launching their own ad platform. They're kind of taking up their partnership with Microsoft, which was running that ad tech for them. So they're just kind of crushing it on that level right now too.
Yeah, and it seems like even more on that, they're part of a Comcast bundle now too.
Yeah, that was like earlier in the week and it feels like years ago now, but that happened. And they're just going to see their ad tier growing so much more because now, along with Peacock and Apple TV, it's going to be in this Comcast Stream Savers bundle, which is for their internet customers. And that is a really big pool.
Yeah.
Comcast is number one in the US as a broadband provider. I think they have 32 million customers there.
Wow.
So it's big, and it also could stand to help Netflix not only have more eyeballs to sell ads against, but also it can help them with another problem, which is shared by every other streaming platform, is that people have this behavior where they subscribe and then unsubscribe month by month based on what's on offer and whether they like the things.
Yeah, exactly. And, with the ad tier mentioned, I think it's also important to mention that this year Netflix has also been cracking down a bunch on people sharing the same account. So, I mean, they've had substantial subscriber growth, so much that I'm not sure how much that is attributed to just people getting their own Netflix accounts or not from being kicked out of, their dad's or mom's or sister's account.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of Netflix skeptics are pointing to, and they're interested in the next round of reports. And also, I believe they're not going to give as many numbers going forward. So maybe that tells you a lot about where they see that tracking. But I'd also note that just yet another thing this week is that they just announced a lot of programming. They had their upfronts, their second year doing what, just like traditional TV networks have always done. And, there's a lot of things we already had known about, like new seasons of Squid Game and Cobra Kai that are coming later this year. And we know Stranger Things is coming up, next year as well. But we also learned they're doing a lot more. And some big names are also included there.
Yeah, it seems like they got celebrities like Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx, Will Ferrell. Like the list kind of goes on with the big name talent that they got coming over. I mean, a special shout out to Adam Sandler coming in for Happy Gilmore 2. So they're really trying to attract viewers of all generations, it seems like, to the platform. And it's working, I guess.
Yeah, if you look at the list of programming they kind of hailed at their upfronts, it was kind of exhausting. Like, I can't imagine anyone having time to watch all these things, but obviously they'll find their audience. And, I think one thing we should note here is just the kind of the current lay of the land here. Like, if you have stepped away for long enough and, we weren't that long ago talking about streaming wars, but the dominance is nuts. So Netflix has 270 million subscribers. That's a lot more than the next. Disney has, 117 million or so. Wow. Max is like barely under 100 million. Paramount, 71 million. Peacock, 34 million. And not only are they winning in subscribers, they're also winning financially, where they made $7 billion last year, and almost everyone else lost billions of dollars.
That last statistic is absolutely crazy. They have been the only streaming service to substantially make money. The only one it looks like that made money besides them of the people you mentioned is Max with $100 million, which just completely pales in comparison to the $7 billion that Netflix made. So whatever they're doing, whatever their secret sauce is for streaming, I mean, these other streamers better get onto that.
Yeah, I would also just note it would be weird to not call out Peacock for being atrocious in this rating. They lost $2.7 billion last year. They have 34 million subscribers. Again, Netflix has 270 million.
Wow.
So, if you're sitting in an office being asked to make Peacock better, that's not a good job right now.
No, it is not. And I guess we can also see the value of not only the business strategy that they've been putting forth, but the value of getting in on the ground floor and being kind of the first to do it and having streaming be synonymous with your name, because that likely has something to do with it as well.
Yeah, and I think you came into this week and it already sucked to be any streamer not named Netflix. It sucks a lot more now.
Yeah, it seems like it might get a little worse before it gets better. So cling to those Peacock subscriptions, everybody watching. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email, and we'll see you later. Hey everybody, I got a great podcast to tell you about. It's called Truth, Lies, and Work, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. On this show, you can join husband and wife team Al and Leanne Elliott as they dispel myths, impart wisdom, and answer all your questions about finding, keeping, and motivating great people. They actually just did an episode with John Smith, who is the manager and agent of famous Argentinian soccer player Diego Maradona. He talks about in this episode how he was able to manage the global superstar, athlete, celebrity that Maradona is and was. It's a great listen. You better get out there and check it out. And you can listen to Truth, Lies, and Work wherever you get your podcasts.